Hi, I'm Neil Snyder. Thanks for joining me for another Snyder Talk video commentary. If you read Snyder Talk on a regular basis, you already know a lot about the issue I want to discuss today, and that is the decline in the value of the dollar. And I want to explain why that's important and tell you where we're going, actually, because where we're going is terribly important to our futures. I want to begin, though, by explaining to you what an advantageous position the United States is in, because the dollar is the global reserve currency. That's the dollar is the currency that countries around the world hoard. They have to have a stockpile of dollars. And the reason is because all oil transactions are in dollars. What that means is that any country that either buys or sells oil has to have dollars in reserve so that they can make a trade. Now that includes every country in the world, including our enemies, and they resent it. If they want to buy or sell oil, though, they don't have any choice. As a result, the United States can print dollars, and as long as there's a market for those dollars, there'll still be demand for the dollar. And there'll be a market for those dollars as long as there's demand for oil. The result is that countries that want to balance their own currency against the dollar have to either buy or sell dollars to, they buy dollars when the dollar value is falling. They sell dollars when the value of the dollar goes up, trying to maintain some stability in relation to the dollar. The amount of flexibility that provides for the U.S. government is phenomenal. It tends to make a less inflationary environment in the United States, and it creates a more inflationary environment around the world. And you see this today a lot in the value of commodities. Commodity prices are going up, and as a result, inflation is rampant throughout the world. We talk about food prices and energy prices in the United States going up and how bad that is. But few people realize that the price increases we're experiencing here are nothing by comparison with price increases in other countries around the world. Take Tunisia, for example. The recent fall of the government in Tunisia was related, in fact, it was almost exclusively caused by a rapid increase in food prices. Well, food products are commodities. As a result of the United States basically shipping its problem overseas. And that's what we do when we engage in deficit spending and creating huge debt. And there are offsets in other markets as people try to hoard commodities as protection against a fall in the value of a dollar, which causes commodity prices to rise. And then, of course, you've got the buying and selling of the dollar to maintain some stability and so that countries can engage in oil trade. All of those things work to our tremendous advantage. But anyway, so much for the general discussion. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about our debt and deficit problem and give you some problems and give you some idea how we stack up in the world. With regard to debt to GDP, the United States ranks 36th in the world. Our debt to GDP ratio is almost 59%. Let me give you some idea of the countries whose debt to GDP ratio is lower than ours. First of all, let me say this. Our debt to GDP ratio is higher than the world average. But having said that, these countries have lower debt to GDP ratios than the United States. Morocco, Guyana, India, Philippines, Croatia, El Salvador, Vietnam, Uruguay, Malaysia, Kenya, Poland, Argentina, Pakistan, Tunisia, that country's government just fell, Turkey, Norway, Denmark, Aruba, Latvia, Finland, Colombia, the United Arab Emirates, Costa Rica, Thailand, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Slovakia, Mozambique, Sweden, Panama. I could go on and on. I won't. I just want you to understand that countries that we typically think of as third world nations have lower debt to GDP ratios than the United States. That should be frightening. If you understand anything about economics, it is frightening. Now, with regard to debt to GDP, the United States ranks 14th in the world with regard to deficit to GDP. Here are some countries in the world that are better at, who have lower deficit to GDP ratios than we do. Congo, Nepal, Botswana, Latvia, Greece. Greece is in turmoil today as a result of their debt problems. Azerbaijan, Ghana, Lebanon, Spain. Spain's in trouble today financially. Lithuania, Vietnam, Georgia, Sri Lanka, Guyana, Chad, France, Russia, India, Malaysia, Mozambique, Venezuela, Japan, Syria, Slovenia, Armenia, Namibia, Austria, Malta, Belgium, Albania, Slovakia, Italy, Taiwan, Israel. Israel's pretty good, actually. Nigeria, Burma, El Salvador, Senegal. I could go on. There's no need. Point. The United States is in a very precarious position. Our debt situation is atrocious. So is our deficit situation. Both are unsustainable. The only way we can survive is that the dollar is the global reserve currency. Pressure is mounting throughout the world to replace the dollar. With what? We're not certain. But the point is, people around the world are growing sick and tired of the United States making policies as if it doesn't matter what the effects of our policies are on countries around the world. They're growing sick and tired of it. They want to see some change. The UN has recently called for a replacement of the dollar. Things can't continue as they are. If you want to know when our situation will fall to the floor, it'll happen when the dollar is no longer the global reserve currency. Keep your eye on that. As pressure mounts to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency, you'll see prices in the United States begin to skyrocket. And when I say skyrocket, I'm not talking about 5, 10, 15% increases. I'm talking about possibly doubling or even tripling overnight. It can happen. Don't think for 1 second that it can't happen. The only reason it isn't happening now is because the dollar is the global reserve currency and it's required by every country that buys or sells oil. If that were not the case, we would be in serious trouble, more serious trouble than we already are. Keep that in mind, because this can't continue. I'll promise you, countries in the world will not allow this to continue. They're going to act in their best interest, and it's not in their best interest to let the dollar continue to be the global reserve currency. I'm giving you an alert. This is an issue that's going to hit the front burner soon. It's already on the front burner for some countries around the world, but it's going to hit the front burner for more and more countries around the world as time passes by. Keep that in mind. Thank you for joining me for another Snyder Talk video commentary. I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.